4, 3, 2, 1.
Now, customers are the backbone of any and all businesses. If we want to get more customers, we've got to seduce you all.
You've got to progress. If you want to attract bigger people in your life, then you've got to become a bigger person. You've got to become better at your skill sets. You've got to immerse yourself into personal development. You've got to find a mentor. You've got to find one or two people that have the results that you want.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are at it again. Welcome to another Untold Upline Secrets / the interviews. Today, I'm extremely excited to have this gentleman on with us today. I actually met this gentleman 10 plus years ago. He was sidelined with me in a particular opportunity, but I knew him before that, and I was always able to watch him flourish and crush it in this industry. Somebody that's been leading teams of tens of thousands of people, somebody that is full of integrity, that has came up in the industry and has learned a lot, but more so has surrounded himself around the best mentors in the industry as well, and has been able to create a significant income, a significant following, and so much respect in the industry. And I'm proud to have him on here today. He's somebody that's actually in my backyard in the Tampa / Riverview area. So we weren't able to do this interview side by side, but we're able to bring him here on this platform. So let's bring out my man, Mr. Bass Grant. What's going on, Bass? How you doing today, brother?
Man, what's going on, my brother? How you doing? And we definitely need to get that interview side by side. It's been a long time.
Yeah, for sure, bro. I think the last time we linked up, we were at Seasons 52.
Yes, we was. Absolutely.
Yeah, Seasons 52. That was a while back. That's my go-to spot.
That's my first time going too. And it's been there the whole time.
Yeah, that's my spot. So, brother, you know, I'm really excited to have you on here. You know, we're obviously interviewing the best of the best, and I thought about you and wanted to bring you on this platform here. But for the people that do not know who Bass Grant is, let's take it back. Let's start it. Let's start it all off. Who is Bass Grant?
Definitely. Well, I want to appreciate you for allowing me to share the platform on this amazing time and period. Again, Bass Grant, or as people may not know, but my legal name is Boss Majin Grant. But I've been known through the industry as Bass, coming up as a young kid in the industry. Had my Georgia roots, Decatur to be exact, Georgia. But we basically, for the most part, grew up here in Tampa Bay, Bema Heights, 22nd and Lake. That was the original projects, not that good living that they got over there right now.
That's right.
And, so I grew up in a household, single parent household. My mom raised 3 boys. I'm the oldest of 3. Grandmother had 12 kids. And all of them had kids in the same household. Okay, that's the first thing. Second thing is when it came to the industry itself, I got introduced to the industry at 17. So I'm 26 years, Sid, that I've been in the space of this industry, but 22 years have been full time. And God has been kind to me. People understand, like when you say 22 years full time, I'm not talking about the off and on. I'm talking about actually in the industry. At 21, I went full time. In the industry. So pretty much this industry raised me. But I think I knew at a young age that entrepreneurship was the way, because when you're consistently, around certain things in your environment, and, I didn't have the example from a father figure at home. My mom was like the one who did all the working, 2-3 jobs. I just really wanted to provide something better for her. So when I got tricked into going to that meeting on West Shore, in Tampa, West Shore, Cypress, right next to the Marriott Hotel.
Yep.
Much as I was upset, I started hearing them say, "Get paid daily." I said, "Wait a minute, get paid daily?" It was legal, and it was a legal company too. You know what I'm talking about? It was a legal company. That started the journey, and it's been an incredible ride since then. And it seems, boy, I tell you, time flies by. It's like, man, it's really been that long, but God has really been kind to me. So yeah, so I'm super excited now. So I guess people can say I'm a professional career networker, but I definitely know the industry. I know all the good, the bad, and the ugly. Okay.
Yes. After that time, you got it. You learn it all. You learn it all.
Sir.
So let's dive into something that you said. I've asked everybody this question. You said that you were tricked into going to that meeting. I always ask people about their very first experience to this industry. So walk us through that. How were you tricked into the meeting, and what happened that the switch went off?
Absolutely. Well, my cousin Greg, we were big basketball fans. MJ, by the way. Okay, but that's another call for another day.
Okay.
Goat Jordan, right? And so that's how he got me. Say, hey, we're gonna go play some basketball. We came up playing ball, so I'm with my windbreakers on, and we're driving. I'm like, the Gideon's Park is that way. He said, we got to make this stop. I said, you know, that's how it is. You know, it's like the Enterprise. You know, we'll pick you up. You know, that's how it is. And he knew I couldn't get out, so I showed up at the meeting, and first thing is, I just got to be one of the pyramid things. You know, the lingo. And I'm in the back of my arms folded like this here, and the guy who was presenting at that time, good friend of mine still to this day, Mike Lemire. He was like, you know, I was a young guy, get paid daily. And I'm like, okay, it's a legal company. We're in the projects and we need some legal services. Folk need some affordable legal services. So I said, okay, you know, and he gave me a book, Think and Grow Rich. Okay. Changed my life. And I always tell people the best trick I ever played on him because, you know, we always talked about it, but I guess he knew if he didn't kind of trick me into going, I probably would have always said no, because based on my environment, when you hear stuff about anything outside of what is the common way of doing things, go to school, get good grades, get a good job, yeah, you're going to call it false. And but yeah, I tell him to this day, I appreciate him for playing that trick because it's become a career, you know. And who would have thought, who would have known what would have happened had he not just, you know, through me and a few other people in the car. And that Corsica, so I'm telling my age, it was a black Corsica, by the way. So
man, that's taking it way back, bro. Corsica, that's taking it way back. Some people looking at this ain't gonna know what that is, bro.
Yeah, they gonna Google, be like, oh man, how old the brothers is?
Yeah, exactly. So what year was that?
That was I was 17 in high school. That was 1996.
Wow.
1996, going into 97. Because when I signed up, I was actually trying to share it with people in high school. So you can only imagine how you're a senior in high school, and you know, yeah, everything else going. It's social media is not like it is now. And I'm trying to tell people, you need to get in this. You need to get in this business. You need to make some money part time. They're like, man, I'm trying to graduate. I'm trying to find a way to get to college, you know. But I was fired up, man, and I went into that, did some college, and by 21, that's when I walked away. I never forget. I said it's time to roll, and it was great. I was actually working a job at that time, and what was the dagger for me? Because I was already getting the mental, you know, personal development and everything. You know, the Jim Rohns, Brian Tracy's, you name it, Zig Ziglar, and I was at work and I had to do jury duty. You know, jury duty when it's over, you just kind of come back, but they let us out at 4:50. You know, job is over at 5. So I just simply told the young lady, by the time I get back to work, it's going to be like 5:30. I said, 5 o'clock, just clock me out. But the boss the whole time, you know, that's what it is. They just micromanage to the highest degree. And someone made it seem as if I was in subordination if I manipulated it. I got it early. I said, no, I got it at 4:50, but it didn't make any sense to drive 45 minutes to clock out, and I'm not getting paid for that. So they fired me for that. And I told myself after that, you did me another favor. Appreciate you. You know, I'm not going to be micromanaged for 10 minutes. So I went full time, and it's been riding ever since.
Nice. So I'm going to assume that process from going from part-time to full-time wasn't like this magical thing. It's like, oh, I stepped into it and wow, here comes 6 figures. So what happened in that process? Because you've gone from, you know, 0 to 3 figures, 4 figures, 5 figures, 6 figures, 7 figures. What happened in that process when you got fired and then you transitioned full-time? Oh
yeah, well, no, Jerry Clark talks about the jungle. So it became real that, you know, okay, we really got to go out here and show this plan. You really got to go out here and, you know, really grind. You can't just, you know, bills are bills. You got to eat. So, and for me, I was excited for the challenge. You know, had no idea how, but, you know, back in the day, I'm communicating content to people through the yellow pages, you know. So when I tell people, you guys got it easy, I'm like, you know, it's like anybody, you know, you look at back in the day, how people do things compared to now. Yeah, it looks a little bit more simpler, but you got to still be a hybrid. There's still some stuff from back in the day. You got to do that hand-to-hand combat. And I think it developed me. I'm glad I experienced that. I wouldn't have taken a different road, maybe different decisions. You know, once you get to a certain income, you're young, you can't tell you nothing. You know, back then you're making $250,000, some 400,000. You're 21, 22, 23 years old, man. Can't tell me nothing. So those decisions are different. But as far as the path, I mean, the path itself that was laid that allowed me to be full-time and then really go and create this work ethic of every single day, even when the business started to really get going, and I was like, started to like become that young guy in the industry, and then obviously started hitting high ranks, I was still waking up every single day as if like, okay, you can get fired, you know? So I wanted to make sure I was so far removed from doubt, from unbelief, you know, because that's the thing that creeps in. Oh, you're good, or it's not working, or all the no's. I actually got to a place, said, where when I was full time, when I went full time, and I started running into more and more of the same questions and rebuttals and things, I started saying, okay, look, I got to get things going. So it's got to be a way to answer that question, because these people don't know each other and they all want to see the information, but they all say the same response. I'm like, nah, it's got to be a way to rebuttal. And I became very good at mastering that, to the point that people will be like, oh man, you need to do a training on that rebuttal, because how did you know that? I'm like, they said that 20 years ago. Well, how did they do that? They did that 20 years ago. Yeah, technology ain't gonna change. That's human nature. That's Homo sapien. They said that to me 20 some years ago. This is what you say. They were saying the same thing to me. I found another way how to navigate through it. It's like anything. So again, all that going full time said, it shaped me. I love it, and I love it. Every single day I tell people, do you still enjoy it? With passion. But I love people winning. Once I got to that place, said, where people be winning, and you can get people from part-time to part-time, or part-time to full-time, and they look at you saying, you changed my life, that's a testament now, you know, winning.
That's it. I applaud you for that, brother. So it made me think about something, you know, all of us, and a lot of people don't talk about this, but all of us, when we get to a certain level, especially in the beginning, we start making really, really good money, and we start making some dumb decisions. You know, I remember, you know, I made my first meal when I was 27, and I thought that because it was 7 days in a week, I needed 7 cars. You know what I mean? It's like nobody taught me anything. We grew up the same way. You grew up in the hood, you grew up around a drug environment, you grew up selling drugs, doing this, blah, 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 blah. So the only thing that you know is what you see, you know, and as time goes on, it's like, man, those things didn't really fulfill me. And I don't have them today. It's 20 something years later. I don't have them today. So what are some of the decisions that you made as a young entrepreneur, that you look back now and be like, man, I wouldn't do that? It's something that you can educate some new people on right now that actually fall into that trap.
Man, listen, that alone is another segment. That's that definitely face to face. Let's really go through that. You spend 2, 3, 4, 5 hours and make volumes when it comes to what you could have done different. And this is what I tell people. There's nothing wrong with living. Okay. I mean, life itself already is an emotional roller coaster. So you do want to reward yourself. So I think they say you can sometimes be in your 20s and you can kind of ball out and just have an amazing time. All your mistakes. In your 30s, you want to kind of start to kind of compress it down. Life is start to, you know, because, you know, you want to kind of get certain things in order, you know, and then obviously in your 40s and everything else, that's when everything else, as Jim Rohn say, kind of catches up based on what you was messing around with in your 20s and 30s. But nothing wrong with having a good time. And if you're talking about mistakes, man, I mean, you're talking about from just anybody, when you're a young guy, you know, from the partying, the flying, to the unnecessary cars, to, I didn't know nothing about credit cards back then. Because, you know, when you don't really have credit, you know, per se, you never really spend anything. They'll send you everything, you know. And I never forget, I got a Providian card. You know, if I look back now, I go back and tell myself, when that Providian card comes in the mail, do not fill that out. You know, and that started that trick. You know, just anything that had, you know, money that was being sent, because you got the cash, you put it here. So you really wasn't educated from that space. I wasn't even looking for that teaching at that time, because I was so good at what I did from a network marketing. I can always replenish it. Even from the cars, you know, you buy cars. If I knew the power of the lease compared to the buy and all that, I wouldn't have been out there just paying cash. My gosh, just paying cash with cars. Because again, you know, we had no example. I tell you, but we human. We had no other example. But again, I still had my work ethic. But just the teachings as far as, you know, what to go out there and buy, from the houses to even some of the investment. A lot of people don't know this story, but I had it was an investment property that someone was asking for because he balling out of control. He trying to be some real estate. I never knew about no flipping, and now flipping was like a new big thing coming up in Tampa. And he wanted to put an extra amount of money down, and I acquired a property. He said he's gonna make all this money. I'm like, okay, great. So I just sent the money, 25 whatever thousand. Long story short, the property had all these, you know, illegal things on, like, you know, the deeds were all messed up. It had all these infractions on the gate, and the mail was going to St. Pete. So when you don't appear in court, said it's it's a contempt of court. So I had a warrant out for my arrest for almost 18 months. Didn't even know, right? Riding around in Tampa, police officers just followed me for like 10 minutes. And so I'm like, this guy's following me. He finally turned the lights on, pulled me up, said, and he was like, yeah, I was following you for a while because I never seen this code. And I was calling all my superiors saying, what is FEN? Like FEN, like, what is that, like a new charge? Like, he said, no, you never heard of that. Kind of later found out it was a fence. So when people would look at my record and say, hey, yeah, I see you got arrested. I said, yeah, but it was for a violation of a fence. Look at the FEN. What was that, man? I said, hey, man, I was out there with all the big boys, man. You don't want to know what FEN is, but no, it's for a fence. But that's the same thing with just having money, not really knowing what to do, and just, and people obviously taking advantage, but that was a life lesson there. But, but it's, again, I look at all the stuff that happened early. So even though you look at it, the cards you had, as you get older, start having kids, start saying, listen, this is why your parents can teach you. Don't do that, son. Don't do that. Like, how you know? Experience. Right. Exactly. Experience is the best teacher,
Always. I ain't gonna lie though. I ain't gonna lie. Like you inspired me to buy my first Bentley. I ain't gonna lie. I remember the Bentley. I remember the Bentley, and I said, when I make some big money in MLM, one of the first things I'm going to go do is buy me a Bentley. So I bought it. I only kept it.
That thing was cold blooded. I would tell people, I said, okay, anybody. I said, when I had that thing, it was the baddest in Tampa Bay, the state. These Spanish guys in Miami, I was at a car show. I think it was the Cars and Coffee. I think they still do that today, Cars and Coffee. And these kids hounded me for months and months. Like, hey man, hit me on Facebook. We want to buy it. We ain't never seen one like that's the baddest Bentley. And it was clean. It wasn't over the top. It was just clean. It was a grown man's car. Had that Mr. 150 in the back as well. And eventually, because you keep those things. You don't keep those for a long time. People don't know that. I learned that you got a luxury car. It's not a Honda. So, I'm not going to have this luxury car for 10, 15 years. Mm-hmm. Like I'm riding around going to Walmart. No, either you have it and you want to have it in shows, or you sell it eventually. And sure enough, I finally hit them up after about 3-4 years. Like, hey, you want to buy it? I'm looking to get another one to buy it. They came up, no problem. Boom. I don't know why they wanted it. Hey, I have no idea, but they wanted that Bentley, everything, rims and all. But so a lot of people got inspired. And part 2 is coming soon.
Nice, my man. So let me take this back to a different area right now. You have been lucky enough. I know some of your mentors. You have been mentored by living legends, man. Like living legends. You were mentored today by one of the biggest living legends. Then you were mentored back in the day by another one. So tell people why mentorship is so important, because man, you've been around the best, bro.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. It's mentorship is everything. I mean, do not think for any second that you're gonna just go through it and make it up as you go. And they say you'll be lucky in a sense. And people say, man, that was luck or whatever. No, luck is a lazy man's excuse for a working man's success. Okay. If you're around the right people, and again, that's why I say God has been kind. That I was able to, from every venture, that I was in, that I was able to find right leadership, and the right leadership elevated. People don't understand is that my current mentor, who again, like I said, legend, some even still call him the best right now on the planet. He's definitely that in my place, GOAT status. I met him in my third company, and I was the young guy. He was an up and coming. I was the young guy, like bass. So when we got into that coffee company and people knew I decided to enroll under him, people in the industry was like, what are you doing? How you can go directly to the company? Do you know who you are? I said, yeah. I said, but I remember meeting that young man in that company, and I saw it in his eyes that if he ever got to a place, he's never going to stop. He was just like me. He's not going to be just conformed to, I made it. And I made that decision, another decision. Best decision of my life, because when you look at where we are now, what would have happened if my ego? So again, that's why I say it's just one of those things where some might call it luck in a sense, but it's still the journey and still the decisions. And it's been kind that I've been able to be mentored by some of the best, from himself to the persons who both mentored me and him, to even the other companies, and I did travel company, and those individuals to my very first company. and those mentors, and even some of the people I've been able to meet who knew of my name as well. I always take it. I'm always a student, and that's one thing I could tell anybody listening. Myself and Ced, I promise you, Ced is not out here saying I'm on the top. They listen to me. I promise you, every mentor has a mentor. Every mentee has a mentor. You're never going to stop growing, ever.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I don't know if David will tell a story. I'll tell it because this is my interview process. But when I joined that same coffee deal, somebody else had introduced me, and I called him and I was like, bro, I need to be under you. Like I need to learn from you. He was like, Ced, I can't do that, bro. He real chill with it. Ced, I can't do that out of integrity. That's good. And I was like, man, this is where I want to be at though, because I understood mentorship and I understood what you can learn from the right people. So what are like maybe one or two things that you can say between the key mentors that you've had inside of your life, a couple of things that you've learned from them that helped that light bulb switch, that helped you elevate in the game?
Absolutely. Well, one of the things was the environment. The environment is everything. It's the environment when it comes to, we can keep it 100, relationships, because a lot of people are thinking what's keeping them from where they are. And it could be the relationships that you're in or the relationships that you're around. Either the friends you're around, I love you, but you have to have a season of separation. For others, and again, don't go back and say, bad Ced, get a divorce. I didn't say that. But some people, there are telltale signs that yes, when a person wants to know, this is how that we was always taught, and it's been factual. You want to know the type of person that you're with, male or female, who you're with. Start a business. Okay. It ain't got to be direct sales and network marketing. Start a business. And based on how the support goes, you will know for sure if you have a partner for life. So, and for some, it's a blessing also that if you can get that out of the way also. So the surroundings were key, even to the environments that you are. I make no excuses. I'm not even at the house. I was looking at the time frame. So I just went ahead and popped to the friend's place and said, listen, let me go and jump in and do the interview on your, cause I have my, and I use a laptop. But I when it comes to the attitude and the environment and people, to call that person last minute, they say, come on through. Relationships, Wow. So that's the first thing. Make sure your environment, make sure you have an environment, create an abundant environment. I'm so happy and grateful now that and you put your affirmation down. But the second thing, and for us people, what would be needed from that next step is goals. So environment, because there's many things, but if there's two I can hone in on, environment, and then goals. You have to have goals. My definition of the word legacy, Legacy, let every goal accomplish challenge yesterday. Let every goal accomplish challenge yesterday. Meaning, if I have goals written down, especially even daily goals, whatever my goal was for the week, for the day, make sure the next goal challenges what I just succeeded. That will keep you going. And if you keep doing that, you will eventually leave a legacy. So you got to have goals. You got to know where you're going. Okay. There's no person who went out into the sea that did not have a compass or some direction. You got to have a blueprint of some sort. And if you don't, that's where you model, find someone who has the things, the goals, the environment you want, and they have the modeling knowledge, copying the right cat, as we call it. That's really the two things, that I can definitely say on this here. For anybody listening, whether it's traditional, or you work from home, or you work a job, and you just kind of like in a rut, what can I do? Environment and goals. That's it. Environment and goals.
Man, I think that some people don't understand how powerful what you're saying is, especially when it comes down to environment, because the environment helps us grow. And some people come in your life for a reason. Some people are coming there for a season. And you said it, sometimes you got to make decisions on, is this person supposed to be in my life? And obviously you can learn outside of business. It's not just that business container. It's other things that people can expose themselves to that you're like, man, is this supposed to be here for 10 years or 20 years or 30 years? Or was it some sort of learning lesson? I think that a lot of people are afraid to make those type of decisions, and those decisions can change our life, man. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. So let me ask you this. We know how important events are. We know how important events are in this game. And I've been asking this question to every single person that has come on. Why would you say events are so important to people, whether they are new in this game or whether they're looking to take it to the next level, or if they're already there?
Perfect. Yeah, this is a place that I'm very, very efficient in. Events and meetings. Events or meetings make money. You know, events build your residual. They build the legacy. They're the culture of everything, because it's only so much a person can do, you know, before they have to get a recharge. That's why every business, every company has quarterly, you know, company events. That's a recharge. Okay.
Right.
You know, when you look at you going to church, you know, you're not just listening to the pastor for 12 days. They're going to some type of event quarterly. We're going to this event or that event for another recharge. You know, so you always have to have a major event that reignites and puts everything on the focus and the culture of the movement. Because again, we're like batteries. We're going to drain. It's just life. Everything comes at you. But when meetings make money, events will build the legacy. It will build the residual. It'll build the foundation. And I love events. I'm big on events. I'm one of the biggest promoters, and I treat every event the same. Whether it's a Zoom call, that's an event. If it's an opportunity meeting weekly, that's an event. And when it's a major event, I try to let them know, listen, when you want to see the difference in why your business may or may not be growing or stagnated, you can always kind of, you know, look at how many people you got going to major events. Well, basketball, when will that stop? It will not stop. You know what another event is? Okay, because there's events that happen even in the calendar of the year. The event happened this month is Thanksgiving. That's an event. People gonna come together. The event after that is Christmas. The event after that, Happy New Year, and everybody going to the gym. February, you got Valentine's Day. That's an event. March, you got your events. April, May is the events. Everything is an event. It's a reminder. Okay, that's why people get excited. That's never going to change. So make sure, if you have not done so, you go to an event, you visualize, but get folk to an event if you want the income to reflect. Okay.
I heard about the event that you guys had in Orlando a couple of months ago. Like I'm all the way in Tampa, and I'm hearing about this event, and I heard it was epic. I heard it was absolutely epic. But it's something about the energy that people don't get, and you're right, it creates that residual. But you said something that some people aren't going to get, and I know you got something to say about this. This is going to be a funny one. I know you got something to say about this. What do you say to these people that think that don't do meetings anymore? Like meetings, y'all still doing meetings? Like who's still doing hotel meetings? Who's still doing house meetings? Like why y'all doing that? This the internet. Like we Facebook, we Instagram, we TikTok. Like do people still do meetings, Bass? Like really?
And again, this is a grown man's call. That's exactly why, you know, some of the stuff that's happening now in the industry is where it is, because it's new age. I call this soft era. I'm good with hybrid. Okay, COVID created the whole, you know, more people jumping on Zoom. Don't touch me. I get it, but that hand-to-hand combat. Okay, nothing's going to replace the hand-to-hand combat. You doing a meeting and having the physical. We call it go ham. Hold a meeting. So everybody's saying, "Yo, I'm building your head. I'm system," but you're not relatable. Let's think about it. You got so many people now who are so on this whole, you know, doing these videos only, and they're gonna build it like that. But you put them on stage and they fold. They need a camera in front of them with nothing in the background. They fold. They have no type of relationship, you know, walking around with their phone all day long. They can't look in the eye when you talk, you know. So when it comes to events and meetings, yeah, you best believe it. Some stuff is not dinosauric, okay? It's just facts. You know, you have to, there's nothing wrong with doing a Zoom, but I'm still doing a physical meeting this weekend, okay? Now, clearly, I could have just put everybody on Zoom, but there's nothing personal, okay? If I want to go someplace to eat, there's no virtual food. Say it, you want to eat, what you gonna do? Publix is not sending you through an app saying, here's some whatever. No, you got to physically go. You got to physically get it done. Some stuff is never going to change when it comes to how that's done, how that goes, and no different in the industry. You know, you can do a Zoom all day long, but I'm being honest. When we're doing COVID, when we did virtual conventions, it just wasn't the same. Yeah, we got a house, a Airbnb, people in the theater room. So, but you got to think about it. We was in a theater room with people watching through the company. It was good, but the energy, really, honestly, was the room we was in with the physical people. That's the difference. You know, it just Go to a revival. It's different than shouting in church when you're in your house compared to when you're in a room and them tambourines going ding, 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 and people run. It's a whole different feel than when you're at home shouting.
Gotcha. That's I love that. There's no virtual food. I like that.
Yeah,
I like that. And go ham. Go hold a meeting. I hope you guys pick that one up. Go ham. I love it. I love it. I love it. That's what's up. All right, so let's keep this going. You know, keyword in network marketing is marketing. You know, we've got the network, we've got the marketing. What are some of the things that you do to expand your network from a marketing perspective when it comes down to how you build? You know, obviously we just heard that, you know, you got meetings. So I know you got meetings going on all over the world. But what are some of the other things that you do to help build your business?
Definitely. Well, obviously now this kind of now going to some of the new age stuff. So I know outside of just online marketing, there's a place for that. I'm all for the online marketing, social media. There's little funnels that people have, and I know there's different ones that people use to kind of get information out there. But again, when the stuff comes, you got to get to a point where there's at least possibly a physical person that people can speak to. So there's a relationship. That's what keeps people longer. But one of the other things, and I'm glad you're talking about this here on the network marketing. Okay, I'm going back to stuff that people either did or people didn't know, but actually works. This marketing, which is actually your mouth, your word of mouth, I still today project. Jerry Clark talked about how he projects and invokes a thought into a person's mind. I'm like, and we learned this so long ago that when I'm speaking to anybody brand new, I'm talking to a Ced, I'm doing a home meeting, I'm doing a Zoom meeting, or it could be a video you watch me just promoting marketing. In that information, I'm saying, if you know someone, and I would say certain countries, or I would say certain ethnicities. Now, as a person is hearing it, I'm actually marketing through them, because I told them, if you're watching this presentation right now, we're expanding in several places, these 5 places. And I would choose the 5 places that I wanted business in. But now they're paying attention. What 5 places? Then I say, if you know anybody who's bilingual, we're looking to promote some major resources into those markets, especially Arizona. Now they have to pay attention to me, saying, I do know somebody in Arizona. I do know somebody that's bilingual. Now they come saying, I know someone, and what is it? What do they need? What do you need from me? Either way, I'm getting to a place. Even if that person wasn't interested in the opportunity, I was able to project from a marketing approach that I want to go here. And now that I know you have people here, that is really my follow-up to Ced. Have you spoke to such and such yet? And because of fear of loss, we call it the art of fool, FOL, fear of loss. Most people say, what am I get at the deal if I get you in front of Paula? I'm so glad you asked. Yeah, we have a VIP call happening tonight, 1 o'clock and 7 p.m. Take a look at the information. Let's kind of discuss it. But remember, the main key thing is we got to get to Paula in Arizona. And I'm going to be doing a lot of working with them. But I'm marketing through word of mouth and in a physical place where I can physically speak to them, or possibly on Zoom. But I still do that to this day. So when they say, how did you get here? How did you get there? I spoke it. In meetings, I kept talking about places that I wanted to be. So if they weren't interested in the room, they're not going to think about, do I know anybody in those places?
Simple, but so effective.
So effective.
That goes over people's heads. That leads me right into the next question, because you monkey branched over to it perfectly. Why is it so important to have a Skittle business? And when I say a Skittle business, what I mean is people from all different walks of life. People from all different walks of life. I want them white, red, brown, purple. I want them in Spain. I want them in Africa. I want them in Colombia. I want them that speak Spanish. I want them that speak English. I want them that speak Thai. Why is it so important to have a Skittle business?
Man, listen, Ced, you're hitting it, man. God made a lot of people, first off. So I realized very early that when it came, well, first of all, when you talk to your family going to tell you the business. They're going to tell you the business, and they're going to tell you everything about yourself. Right. So I realized at an early age, I am not the Black Superman. I try to cultivate into a lot of people who look like me, and everybody had every excuse under the sun, which is nothing wrong with that. But God makes us a beautiful planet, and multiple people. I started realizing, Baz, help everybody, not just based on who you are, because I really wasn't so focused on us. And when I mean us, Ced, I'm not talking about us as an African. I'm talking about the United States, us. Right. I'm like, you know what? Folk in America got it good. Oh yeah, you talk about struggle. We're not struggling. It's the richest country on the planet. Struggle is a choice. Go to DR. Go to Latin America. Okay. Go to Haiti. Okay. Go to Africa. Go to some of these countries where you look at an enrollment, and I'm saying you can make $50 a month. You can make $100 a month. You can make $200 a week. In America, they'll tell you, say it, that's not even bottle service.
Exactly.
That's not, I can't get my hair with that. But there's some countries that $250 extra a month. Don't say 300. And they dollars, full time. They would go full time. I said, wait a minute. I go to that place. They si se puede. They backing out, spilling over. I'm right here in my backyard. You know, y'all see me grow up. I'm good, fam. But when you win, though, they're like, hey man, yeah, I need assistance. Nah, I told you about this 6 figures ago. Where you been at? I've been traveling. That's why I'm down there a lot. That's why I had to get my passport, because I just wasn't programmed just to make sure that us got to the mountaintop. I want to make sure any and everybody who saw opportunity. So that Skittles mentality, if you're right now, nothing wrong. You can tell your family, get them out the way, friends, but don't just focus on just us, the US. They could be from here, but they're not from here, but Skittles. Every color, no matter what it is, people around the world have the same problems you have. They're just not in your country. But that's why this is called, and as I close out and say that's why this is called, when people look at America, it's the only place that has the word dream attached to it. It's the American dream, not the South America dream, not the UK dream, not the Africa dream. It's called the American dream. People are dying to get here. You should respect it. Be humble. Just be humble. But don't think about us. Think about the world.
That's deep. I never thought about it that way. There ain't no other country that got dream attached to it. You're right. It never said that. You know, you made me think about something, and I want to ask you this. You know, Jesus said it the best. You're never a prophet in your backyard. Like, he had to leave. He had to leave for people to believe him. Why do you think that it takes us to be successful first before people in our backyard, people that we grew up with, people that from middle school, high school, college, neighbors, whatever the case may be? Why do you think they need to see success first, brother, before something changes and they finally say, okay, Bass, tell me about this?
Fear, doubt, and apathy. Most people is fear. They don't want to tell you, but because no one else has created an example, they need you to be like, well, then you go do it. You heard it for, you go do it first, then. You go do it first, then. But then they want the easy road. They don't want the hard road. So that's a fear. They don't want to say it, but so that's why when they say go out and create success first, there's nothing wrong. Somebody had to be that Oprah to step out. Oprah was told she would never be bigger than Donahue and Sally Jassy Raphael. Her whole family, Mississippi, you got to be out your mind. But we all know that best friend. We all know Gail. Gail said, I believe in you. Okay. But she still went out and changed. She still went out there, and that makes sense. So fear is why most people say you go do it. And that's why they don't get involved in opportunity, because and that's fine. Listen very closely. That is fine. Okay, said, because I understood long ago that somebody has to ask you, do you need paper or plastic? Do you need your steak medium or well done? Somebody got to fly that plane. I don't need the person flying the plane reading Think and Grow Rich. I need you to think about the turbulence in these clouds. When you go to that vacation, I need somebody making that fufu drink. I don't need the mixologist saying the best one is left because they got the book hung by the tongue. No, I need you making that passion fruit with all that adult stuff I like in that. Okay. Right. So fear. The other part is doubt. Doubt is going to be around you for the rest of your life. It's what whispers in your ear, even when you still get past fear and you say, well, let me go ahead and do it. And then as soon as you say, well, let me sign up, but let me hit you tomorrow, doubt said, you know, that's one of them things, right? Mm-hmm. You think you're going to change it? Nah. Look where you at. Nah, don't tell them tomorrow that you're going to pass, make up an excuse, say the kid got out the litter, the dog blew out the door, whatever it is, tire blew, don't sign up. So most people, they go through life with fear, or if they get past fear, then the doubt. Because doubt will get into you so bad. Doubt has one more family member, and that is also that's the nail in the coffin. Apathy, and apathy is the one that they've already given up. So there's really nothing said or Bass could ever say, because apathy is like a parasite that is attached. Doubt is nowhere to be seen anymore. Doubt has done its job. Once apathy plays in part, you can come and say, look, man, you know, Jesus signed up. He doing a room. Yeah, okay. I'm good. I'm straight. I don't care if he's still blessing wine over there. I'm good. There's nothing that can be done. And that's a place you never want to be. But when the fear comes, congratulations. We all have fear. It's overcoming. When doubt comes, fantastic. I told you it's never going to leave. It's going to be around you. But when you're positive, when you had that environment, those goals, he'll bother somebody else. And he might come back just to check to see where your belief level is. But apathy. Yeah. Apathy gets in, there ain't no cure for that. It's a done deal. So that's why most people say when you go become successful and you go do it first, it's really those three things that balance: that fear, that doubt, or apathy has already came into place. And again, that's life.
Wow, that's deep. That's deep, especially the last one.
Yeah.
So
well, and actually, what we call it real quickly, we call it when I ask somebody, "What's the deal with old boy?" I say, "Oh, they're FDA approved." I'm like, "Wow, FDA approved? Man, that's terrible." All right, well, we'll get to the next person. You know, just again, FDA approved. Man, you got to call that. Like, hey, what's up with that guy, man? Is he already started? He FDA approved. Oh man, that's terrible. All right, man. Well, just hey, just let me know the next person you got, because he got one of the three, one of the two, or one, but he's FDA approved.
Wow, that's deep. That's deep. I hope that didn't go over some people's heads.
I think it did.
Right,
You like,
you full of zingers. The longer we hear, the more zingers start coming out, bro. That's for sure. So speaking of the FDA approved and when people step into that witness protection, what is something that's very, very important for people to do as soon as they sponsor a new person? Because you're still out there building, you're still out there recruiting, and you're very successful, but you're still bringing in new blood.
right.
So what is some of the key things for people to do with that new blood as soon as they come in?
Absolutely. Well, we have something that we call the 5 pillars. And when people say that's something you guys have for just your company that we've launched, and I said, no, it actually is something we've learned through time, but we've implemented even still, because it's still the same. When a new person joins, we want to first have them write down their goals, maybe their first 5-7 goals, over the next 18 to 24 months, you're going to be working together. But we write down those goals and we tell them to hand them to the person that enrolled them. We create a system, like write down your goals. So these are goals. These are things that whenever doubt, unbelief comes in and fear, we can always come back to, these are the goals you said you want to accomplish. So you want to definitely write down your goals. Second is, when a person gets started, we want to make sure they make a list. Some things don't change. Now, most companies have, like we do, have it now where we have a hub that we've had this video where we tell people, if you're still new and you don't know how to articulate this to a new person, you're still getting over, just the fear of building a business, get familiar with it. You guys have a hub and say, listen, go to this hub. It's going to go through the 5 pillars and what to do. And just that one gesture said, it's still a system that when a new person coming in still building and they're still trying to understand how to navigate through just building a business, life and all that, they can still get them to the hub and that place or that location, YouTube video, where a person is breaking down the list. Now write down your list of names. The 3rd, become a product of the product. 4, hold a meeting, hold an event. Be here 6 to 18 months from now. And in 5, more importantly than anything, you duplicate and do it again. But that's really what we tell people. You got to get those goals down. You got to get that list down. Hopefully you're already a product of the product or service of what you're doing. Then you hold those meetings. You have those events. You got to launch your business. You got to let people know I'm open for business. I think the Chinese restaurant is a prime example. It's Chinese restaurants all over the country. And, I'm talking about the ones in the little storefronts, not the standalone. I'm talking about the ones in the.
You mean kind of like here, like we don't have to go look for one. All we got to do is look for a public.
Right. So if you look at their business model, they always have a grand opening sign up. Now the sign's been up for 2-3 years.
True.
Why does it say grand opening? Because they know that it's always somebody new, either in the area, going by, and in their opinion, every day they're launching. They're launching every single day. Because if you're new to the area, you're like, oh, look, grand opening. No, people are like, that's been here for 2 years. They continuously launch. Or they might take it down and every quarter put it back up, but they're always launching, it's always a grand opening. And the same thing applies to yourself. You got to have a grand opening. Let people know you're open for business.
Nice. I love it. So you made me think about this when you said, Chinese people and Chinese food. It made me hungry for a second, but it made me think about customers.
Oh yeah.
And obviously right now, I think that there's like this shift going on in the industry. Back when we started, you started in 96, I started in 99. And I think a lot of things were built around recruiting.
Oh, yeah.
Why is it so important to have that nice mix of having a strong base of customers in your business?
Right. Yeah. We would definitely talk to recruit, why to die, because that was just the model back then, because certain compensation plans, the fast start was so aggressive.
Right.
You wanted to recruit people to come in. And back then, customers, yes, you had them, but the residual input wasn't as aggressive. You had some, but you had to have tens of thousands of customers per se, compared to what people you bring in and how the comp plan was set up and the matching bonuses. You want to recruit like crazy. So I like how the industry, and even how people who've grown up in the industry who started their own company, how they kind of created to where now the focus is still where it always is, like your Amways, like your Avons, like your Mary Kay, like your Herbalife, who you look at their track record, they have millions and millions of customers. That's why they're billion-dollar companies. So now you have it to where people, when they're building this business, do you want to recruit, ladies and gentlemen? Absolutely. But I'm telling you from experience now, when you're looking at companies, if the compensation plan has a very strong element of reorders, which is the key, because business partners can leave and go, but customers, they stay. My daughter loves Chick-fil-A. She's a customer. She's a preferred customer. I got the app. We said we're at the top imperial, whatever that position is, all the stars, okay? Chick-fil-A is not trying to get me to get a franchise. It's available, but I don't go in there. They say, hey, you want a franchise? No, I'm here for number one, no pickles, Sunjoy. Same thing, right? My daughter. So when you look at your customers and your acquisition, and you have these systems now that may have it to where the residual strong, focus on the customers. Matter of fact, get that thing to about 77%, even 80% customers. Your livelihood, your lifestyle, no matter what happens, you can actually, when you really want to travel and take more time off than normal, when you got a strong base, those customers, more than anything, they don't know about no back and forth, and you had a misunderstanding with a leader in another state. So whatever, it's none of that. They just buying the product, services. I'm telling you. So definitely customer. I'm an acquisition avenger now. I tell people that's one of the things I go back and tell myself, depending on if the company had a strong residual, but I focus on building, I would say best balance it, but start getting that palette down now on customers.
Acquisition avenger. I love it. It makes me think, when I was in Excel in 99, Paul Overson, Lord rest his soul, he was making $1 million a month back then. But I tell people, I said, of the $1 million a month, less than $100,000 a month of it was customers.
Wow.
It was building like crazy. Those coded bonuses were bananas. I mean, when you got that code, that code makes you focus on build. Let's go recruit like crazy. And you made a good point, because I think, especially when you start dealing now with affiliates and different types of mindsets right now. You've got so many people that do the TikToks, that do the Instagrams, that do the Facebooks, and you've got a different mindset of people that they might not be big builders, but they can cut a video and bring in 1,000 customers, 300 customers, 100 customers, and build that residual. And I think that a lot of people are missing that. So good point. So a couple last minute questions, brother. I definitely, you dropped some boulders over here. You got me taking notes while in the middle of the interview. So I appreciate this. So books, you mentioned one of them. What are some key books that you have read that have shifted your mindset, that has helped you to where you get to where you are today?
Definitely. We're speaking to obviously people in the industry and who are very relatable to us. So Think and Grow Rich is the Mecca. Outside of the Bible, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. That is a must. When it comes to other books to read, man, you're talking about and obviously God rest his soul as well. My First Year in Network Marketing by Mark Yarnell. Yeah, you got to get that book. My First Year in Network Marketing. the book by Jeff Olson called The Slight Edge. Yes, I'm giving you some people The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. You want to get hung by the tongue. The author eludes me because what you say, what you speak is everything. Okay. You want to get The Magic of Believing. Okay. You want to get The Magic of Believing by Claude Bristol. I think it is Claude Bristol. You want to get The Science of Getting Rich by Waddle B. Waddle. Okay. Waddle D. Waddle.
Waddles. Yep.
Yeah. Your Science of Getting Rich. And then Parable of the Pipeline. My gosh, I got a brain fart with this. And I think the author, The Parable of the Pipeline. Okay. The author eludes me. I'm sure somebody in the comments would do it. It's you know what? I got my phone right here. How about that? I'm gonna do this here since this is organic. Okay. The Parable of the Pipeline. As soon as I see the name, I'm like, man, Parable of the Pipeline. The Pipeline. Parable of the Pipeline by Burke Hedges, of course.
Oh,
I think Burke used to stay in Tampa. I don't know if he's even still alive.
He's on the other coast now. I just saw him at an event 30 days ago.
Yeah. So The Parable of the Pipeline by Burke Hedges. Like brain fart. So anybody listening, if you're young, it's coming. Just get to your 40s. It don't matter what you do. I know I still look great. People like you're still in your 30s. I appreciate you. But the mind itself, the mind is still the mind. Some stuff going just
right.
Yeah, Burke. So there's many books, but those is definitely some of the one I would say off the top that, especially for beginners who want to come in and equip heavy. Oh yeah, every last one of those, especially if you're in our industry, every last one of those, everything.
Nice. So last question here, brother.
Oh, one more.
Yeah, go, please.
Conceive, Believe, and Achieve by Mr. David Imonitie. Conceive, Believe, and Achieve by Mr. David Imonitie.
That's easy one to remember.
Yeah.
And for those of y'all that don't know David, you need to know David. So get that book.
Absolutely.
Get that book. I'm excited to have him on this series here. So last question, brother. The name of the book that I'm launching is called Untold Upline Secrets. And I'm breaking down a lot of things that I've learned in the industry and some things that people would never talk about. And one of the key questions that I'm asking everybody here is that if you can go back to, 96 when you got started, or maybe in the early 2000s when things just kind of clicked, if there was one or two or three secrets or something that you learned that you wished somebody had told you earlier to help you speed up your process, what would it be?
First thing is every book that was given to me, because even though I'm giving you guys the books, I wasn't aggressive reader. I needed pictures. So I'm a left-hander. So I needed pictures. And so I used to get bored. I would buy the audio, but I needed the book. So I would go back and tell myself every book that was said based on what you started experiencing, having hypergrowth in your 30s, you could have did that in your 20s. Had you just been disciplined enough to read the book. Okay. So I would say that for sure when it comes to that. I would definitely tell myself to do it much sooner, faster, meaning as I'm building the business, some of the things that obviously I would have even invested into or did not build. But I would definitely have went back and did everything much sooner, much faster, from a standpoint of savings, residual, family, so many things to be further along when it comes to that, from that decision making. And I guess third, when it comes to kind of going back and telling myself, it's because I know the journey itself is it says, well, happiness is in the journey, not the destination. But outside of those two, I don't really think I know a third one. If I could say, if I had to say it, I would say for as my spiritual, when it comes to God, I would have gotten it more and more aligned than what I had not. I had a breakage in my 20s once I had a chance to hear from my biological father, and that was a breakage from me when it came to my spiritual walk that I rekindled later in my 30s. But I would have told myself, regardless of that situation of you speaking, meeting, and how you were as a young man at that time, you should have never broke that spiritual walk with him. So that's what I'll say. So definitely from an investing, do it much sooner, much faster. And then more importantly, that spiritual walk. Yeah, I would kept that in alignment because you never know what the future would have been differently with just those 3 things.
No, that's deep, especially with this spiritual walk. That's deep. I think so many people miss that part. Well, Mr. Bass Grant, brother, you dropped some serious boulders today. I can't wait to go back and re-listen to this video, and I hope that people that are paying attention took some copious notes and go back and listen to it as well, because I like to take notes as I'm listening, so it helps my brain to retain. And I appreciate you taking out the time this morning. I know you could have been anywhere, and you sat still with me and giving these boulders and these nuggets to the people that really need it, man. So I'm humble, brother. I appreciate the time. We've got a link up here real soon. Season 52 on me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm all about free 99. I'm all about free 99.
There you go, and I got you.
But I appreciate you for having me on the platform. Looking forward to the book. Congratulations on that book as well. And like I said, just anybody out there again who is looking for an opportunity, looking for the next level, get with the person or find it, seek it. It's there. But don't forget the stuff we discussed today on this platform, Secrets of the Upline. This is a simple secret, okay? Stay humble. Just stay humble. No matter where the income gets to, stay humble. Treat people with love and kindness, truth and justice, and it will take you so far. And we will see you guys on the beaches of the world. Believe and simply succeed. That's my BASS. Believe and simply succeed. Okay.
My man. Appreciate you, brother. We'll chat soon. Thanks.
Absolutely, brother. Appreciate you. Thank you.
All right.